Well, good afternoon and welcome to San Antonio, Texas, here on the campus of Trinity University. And we've got game 3 of the series between the Tigers and the Endicott Goals. Trinity's taken the first 2 games of this series, and they will look to take the win in game 3 against with Brian Cardone on the mound. And here with Chris Garagiola here for the final time in 2019. And Chris, your thoughts about the Tigers and Goals today?
Just important, I think. You have an opportunity to sweep a series. Winning is important, but sweeps look good. It's a statement to the rest of the country. I think it's a statement to Endicott College, and I think based off of what we saw last night, there's a lot of opportunities for guys to make good impressions to their head coach today. And so by going out and executing on the hill if you're Brian Cardone, executing if you're in the field defensively, and just being sharp and being focused, that's going to go a long way for this team and these players. And I think right now they need to hit the refresh button, not too dissimilar from Endicott as well.
And for Endicott, they lost 8-1 and then 14-12. They're going to start with Christian Allaire, followed by Dan Cacciola. Anthony Macchia bats third, Brennan McDonald fourth, Kyle Brennan fifth, John Duffy sixth, Nicholas Perkins, the designated hitter, will bat seventh, followed by Matt Bald, Matthew McKinley, and on the mound for Endicott will be Joseph Oriola. Cardone with the first pitch of the game, and he misses high for ball one.
Just a small little note off the top of the broadcast here. Might have some technical difficulties with the camera shot that you're seeing now. So hopefully it's straightened itself out. Hopefully all things are good. If you see us taking a different angle here this afternoon, just a tiny little hiccup that we'll try and address.
Yeah, wireless technology come a long way in the last few years, but still has a little bit of room to work with to be exactly what we want it to be. And not exactly where he wants to be is Brian Cardone, already behind here to Allaire, 3-0, and it's an unfortunate 4-pitch walk to start here in San Antonio. And I'd say not surprisingly, as you look at the left side of your screen there, you start to see Tim Scannell come out. I think yesterday after the Tigers, even though they got that 14-12 win, the lack of focus, I would say, it was maybe a major concern for Coach Scannell and his staff, and the inability for guys to come into the game and throw strikes was massive. You know, for Cardone, I think the objective is easy. Let him hit you, let the guys back you up, and let's go from there, because we can't be giving up free walks all the time.
You know, I think from a strategic standpoint, it's easy to identify what the problem is. I think everybody easy to say, hey, throw strikes, let them hit you, let your defense work, right? These are all tropes that we're familiar with. I think the issue that was prominent last night and, you know, obviously one at bat through today is it's either a lack of focus coming into the game, you just haven't dialed in and really understood what you're trying to do, or it's the opposite. You're focusing too hard. You're trying too hard, and you're almost putting this excess pressure on yourself if you're Cardone.
Runner goes, and this pitch popped up foul. Goodrich gives chase, but that'll land into the seats.
You can be focused and relaxed at the same time. Those two things don't necessarily have to be opposites from one another, but when that lack of focus, when you just get out there and you're not thinking about, okay, you know, hitting the back of the glove, strike one, making sure that I'm doing everything with my mechanics, that is, to me, problematic. More than guys trying too hard, because it's easy to understand. You want to make a good impression. You feel like this is important. These games are important, and when you're playing for a good team, you want to give your best every single time with every single pitch, but that's where I say just relax, have fun, enjoy competing.
Well, double play ball over to Morrison, and for the time being, the Tigers have the double play, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a challenge from Endicott on this one, or at least a walk out to talk to the umpire. So that will be a double play, 4-6-3, Cacciola rolling out into the double play, and that'll, you know, help. I think when you said, you know, it's okay to be relaxed and focused, that just means confident, I feel like, to me, and that should help the confidence of Cardone here. third batter of the afternoon for Endicott. And it is Anthony Macchia, the left fielder. He started the game on Friday and came in as a pinch hitter yesterday.
And that should feel good for Cardone. I mean, obviously, you get a double play ball, it feels good. But I mean, when you're on the hill, you walk a guy, and then you execute, you get the ground ball that you're looking for, and you turn a pair. There should be a smile on your face, right? You should feel elated that you did exactly what you were trying to do in that situation. Your defense executed behind you, and now no problem. 2 gone, you've thrown very few pitches in this first inning. That should get the competitive juices flowing. Like, you know what? I got this. I'm a solid pitcher.
Macchia pulls that one down the right field line, but it lands about 10 feet foul. Yeah, and for Cardone, looking to gain that early confidence, I think is going to be a big part of it. He's second appearance on the season. He's thrown 1 pitch coming into today, and it was ripped for a double, and then they pulled him. And so now if he can go out there and he can get an inning of work in and feel good about himself, it's like what we saw yesterday. Endicott went up 4-0, and then Tigers were able to respond and gain a pretty large lead. James Natoli, who looked like he was struggling a little bit, inconsistent all over the place, was able there to go back out, and he had confidence, and he was able to go out and work effectively for 3 more innings.
Yeah, how about that? The Tigers fall behind 4-0, and then I think at one point they outscore the Gulls 14-1,
Yeah.
and then nearly lose.
Yeah, and Endicott was fantastic late in that game, which I think gives you a little bit of pause if you're a Tiger fan here. They were strong late in the game. Maybe they've started to figure things out. This is only their 3rd game of the season, their first series overall. And a walk for Macchia. That brings up McDonald. McDonald behind the dish today defensively. First pitch strike from Cardone.
The first couple of games of this series, I've been impressed with Endicott's starts. In that first game, we saw a very crisp defensive-looking team and some scoreless frames early on. In the second game, obviously, this looked like it hit the bag. Oh, what a play. What a play.
Jack Wisniewski just backing up Logan Morrison there. That ball took a short hop on Morrison, hit the bag, and no big deal, even across his body. Wisniewski able to just get the throw there ahead of McDonald. And that will do it. Wasn't pretty, but it is effective for Cardone. We go to the bottom of the first, still tied at 0.
In the first inning for the Tigers, top of the order, second baseman number 19.
The batting order for the Tigers here in the bottom of the first will be Logan Morrison, followed by Jake Martin and Jack Wisniewski. Michael Goodrich will hit cleanup, followed by Mason Meredith and Brendan Caraway. John Tucker finds himself batting 7th today, with Jack Vonderhaar batting 8th and MJ Metz batting 9th. First pitch from Joseph Oriola is in there for a strike. Morrison now 1-1 on the count. Morrison with a pretty good attempt on that last defensive play before we went to the break. Just took a little short hot on him.
Yeah, I don't think it's much blame you can put on Morrison. Or I believe was Wisniewski who was...
Wisniewski was backing up and made the play. Morrison was the first on the scene there.
Right. But it's hard to blame him with some of the bounces. Some tricky hops.
This field known for some tricky hops. We were watching infield earlier today, and a couple of really balls that jump up at you if you're in the shortstop position. Check swing, they're going to check it down at first. They're going to say, yes, he did. And Morrison is down on strikes. Bring up Jake Martin.
Number 2 slot, right fielder, number 11, Jake Martin.
Joseph Oriola on the hill for the goals, and he's going to be the one sort of tasked with trying to right the ship pitching-wise. A bit of a head-scratcher that we saw yesterday. This is a junior, 4.28 ERA, last year. Pretty good size of work. He pitched the third most innings of any starter that we saw last year on their roster, and the most of anyone on the returning roster this season for the Gulls. One thing to watch, though, I see the 49 strikeouts last year and the 25 walks. Pretty good numbers, but a 2-to-1 ratio. You'd like to see those numbers improve from the sophomore season to the junior season as well, especially what we saw yesterday, double-digit walks allowed by the Gulls. Just the ability to throw strikes, going to be huge for him.
Well, there's 2 early strikeouts there for Oriola, so if last year's the indication, you'd expect a walk before the next strikeout.
Number 2, Jack Wisniewski.
Now it's Wisniewski batting third. He's moved up in the order after hitting pretty well to start 2019.
Well, and both of those strikeouts, both swinging, and both of them look like on curveballs in the dirt. So it's pretty easy to see right now, first time through the lineup, kind of how he likes to sort of orchestrate these at-bats from a pitching perspective. And the ability to throw strike one, especially with that off-speed pitch right there, that's going to be so huge for him today, and really for any pitcher at this level. You can start that middle of the lineup with a curveball, with a slider, with a changeup for a strike. That just makes so many things easier for you as a pitcher.
This one lofted out into left, fighting the sun was Makia, and he able to fend it off, and we have played one. We're still looking for a hit in this game. Tied 0-0. We'll be back. Top of the second inning, Kyle Brennan to lead off for Endicott. And after facing 4 batters in the first inning, Brian Cardone has to feel pretty happy with himself. Allowed 2 walks, but got out of the first without giving up any runs. Something that Jameson Tolley was unable to do yesterday. So you take those little bit of moments, and you, even if you're not completely dialed in on the strike zone, you find what you like. That one's going to be fouled off. Count now 0-2.
Yeah, this is, I mean, as much as you find teaching moments in areas of growth throughout different performances, this is still a results business game here. And if you're able to put zeros on the board, all right, not ideal if you walk a couple guys, but zeros are all that matter.
Expected a miss there on the 0-2 pitch, and maybe a little bit too far outside, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If you're able to go out there and, you know, some guys need 150 innings to throw a no-hitter. Some guys can do it in under 100. That one's going to hit the batter, and I think that's what you can't do. You can't start a guy off 0-2 and then be so wild outside of the zone trying to get somebody to chase.
Well, again, it depends on the strategy, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday. The 0-2 pitch was, you know, really high and outside, and if the thought behind that is I want to change the batter's eye level, make him see something up there, that's a legitimate strategy, and that is something that big leaguers have talked about, successful ones, done it, you know, 80s, 70s, whatever. But the next pitch then needs to be, you know, right at the knees, right at the corner. So if you go high and outside, and then you miss so low and inside that you hit him on the foot, to me, like, what is the strategy here? What are you trying to do? That is just, I'm not sure what the thought behind those pitches are. If you're just throwing them for the sake of throwing them, then to me you're holding your breath and you're just hoping that it works out. And that's not going to be successful at this level.
John Duffy stepping in. Duffy started the season off 0 for 4 before coming back yesterday with a pretty decent day at the plate. He was 3 for 6, but he also had a fantastic day out in right field. So batting .300 on the season. And Cardone now, after he threw that first pitch ball, comes back with 3 straight strikes, and Duffy will be the first out of the inning. So just the inconsistency that we're seeing from Cardone. We've seen some really good pitches, but then we've seen a lot of pitches that don't really make sense with a strategy of going out there trying to set guys up.
Well, and he's got enough velocity as well where you don't have to try and rear back and throw a fireball every time. He's got enough if he's able to locate where he's going to be successful. And so long as he isn't throwing fastball, 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 fastball over and over again, it's not exactly like these guys I think are going to be able to just tee him off. So for him, make it easy on yourself. Start with strike one. Make these hitters uncomfortable because they're down in the count, and just watch how much easier it is to pitch.
This one laced down the line in left, or excuse me, in right, and that's going to get down. And Perkins has a double here with one down, and that will advance.
That's a double for Nicholas Perkins.
Brennan all the way to third. And so now with one down, you've got runners at second and third. He started that at bat off with a really nice breaking ball that just missed, and then came back with a fastball that got absolutely smoked down the line.
Well, and, you know, if you think about it from our perspective here, early in the game, struggling to throw strikes, you miss with a curveball. As a hitter, what do you think's coming next? You think he's going to double up with a curveball that maybe has not been his most accurate pitch? No way. You're sitting on a fastball. You're looking for one probably middle of the plate. That's exactly what he got. Didn't miss it. That's why he laced it into the right field corner.
Matt Bald playing third base, steps in with the chance to get a couple of RBI.
I remember when I was a player here, and Coach Scannell, he offered a philosophy on pitching, which was that we, as pitchers, should not be afraid to repeat a pitch, particularly if it's not your fastball. You know, if you throw a curveball, don't be afraid to throw it a second time and a third time and a fourth time, especially if you have a couple of strikes. Just keep repeating, and it's part of the mind games.
Bald, who started off on Friday 1 for 3 before going 0 for 3 yesterday, will get a single, and he'll be able to advance down to second in a really interesting situation here. The throw from Metz sent over to first base. throw behind the runner, and that allows him to advance an extra 90 feet.
And that's a young player's mistake right there. I mean, you can understand exactly what Metz is trying to do. He's got the runner stuck in between first and second base, and he's thinking to himself, okay, I just got to get the throw over there and initiate the rundown. But you have to get the runner to commit to a base first before you make that throw. And if he hasn't committed, just run at him. Start running from third base. If the runner at third starts to go home, you'll have someone shouting in your ear. You'll be able to readjust from that point.
This is McKinley, first pitch swinging, and he smokes one back up the middle, and that'll bring in two. Endicott is quickly ahead on this one, 3-0. This has happened really quickly here.
And Endicott, they're starting to square up some pitches as well. I think you're seeing some confident hitters coming to the plate. I think they're looking for a pitch a little bit up in the zone, not quite knee-high, but something right at the belt. And they're not afraid to swing and go after it. And that's the byproduct of seeing some good at-bats from your teammates.
You know, we mentioned how yesterday they came back late in the game, looked really strong, and that might give you a little bit of pause for concern. And I think to that point, 3 runs through the first run of the order. And they've still got one man on. Activity stirring down there in the Tiger bullpen. Tigers already have the series, but I can tell you the team and the staff definitely want to go for the sweep. Runner goes on a delay steal, and Wisniewski late getting over. The ball skips out into center field, and instead of just advancing 90 on a stolen base, it'll be stolen base and an error, and he's finds himself down at third base. And the situation starting to get a little bit out of hand for Trinity here, but as we saw offensively, a team that not necessarily bothered by being down in a hole early.
Just uncharacteristic, I think, of what we come to expect from these Tigers. Like I said, not just year in and year out, but game by game. They're a team that is so good defensively typically. They're so good offensively. They usually have very talented arms in their starting rotation. They have some hard-throwing guys out of their bullpen. And, it seems like now for the second game in a row, at least to start this game, just sloppy. The Tigers don't necessarily look like they're out of bed yet.
Cardone misses on the 0-2 pitch, and that's a fairly good miss right there. Down in the zone. Now 1-2. Yeah, and I think it's been this way all weekend, though, from what we've seen out of Trinity. It just defensively, it hasn't looked crisp. It hasn't looked like they are comfortable playing defense.
And to an extent, you start the game with a 4-pitch walk. I mean, that sort of sets the tone a little bit. And for Endicott, getting on base, getting that first guy on to start this game, it sets the tone for them as well, I feel.
And it'll be a swing foul tip into the glove of Goodrich and another strikeout for Cardone.
Well, say what you want about the start of the game. That was an excellent breaking ball. Good swing and miss there. Unfortunately for Cardone, that's going to be the end of his day.
Yeah, Cardone will just go an inning and 2/3 before he gives way here. And talked to Coach Smith earlier in the day, and they threw Matt Thomas yesterday, who has thrown a Sunday start in the past. And I said, what are we thinking today as far as who we're throwing out there? And he's like, we're going to get with Cardone. We're going to let it ride, see how it goes, and then we'll figure it out from there. So Tigers will be looking to get some strength out of the bullpen today, and we'll be back in just a moment. So out of the pen, it'll be Jimmy Tatum. Tatum pitched on Friday night. Pitched a scoreless ninth inning for Trinity. He allowed 1 hit, but he walked 2, struck out 2, faced 6 total batters. And I think the interesting stat that jumps out at me, threw 27 pitches, but only 13 were strikes, so not even half of it finding the zone. Steps in here against Cacciola, who is 0 for 1 on the day.
Well, his first pitch to start, Cacciola, right around his helmet, his next pitch in the dirt. So to me, it already shows immediately where he's not necessarily comfortable on the mound.
That one elevated. It'll be 3-0. 2 down here in the top of the second. Endicott has already plated 3 in this inning. And they've got a runner standing 90 feet away, looking to go up 4-0 for the second time through 2 innings this weekend. And a 4-pitch walk out of the pen. I think things that make Tim Scannell grow older, right at the top of that list are 4-pitch walks coming out of the pen.
Anthony Macchia.
Well, I mean, this is, these guys scrimmage every day in practice. This is the mound that they use day in and day out. I mean, this should be your office. You should feel comfortable here. Especially if you're not a first year and you've been pitching for a while at Trinity. That is the mound that you know and love. So to all of a sudden have a batter walk into the box and all of a sudden it completely change your ability to throw strikes, that's got to be alarming. The other problem that we've seen from the Tigers is their inability to hold base runners over at first base. It seems like teams have been able to run at will against the Tigers and against some better offensive teams. I'm not saying that Endicott isn't one of them. We've seen them score some runs, but especially later in the year, and if these Tigers get to the postseason, that's a serious problem as well that they need to try and figure out.
A little bit of hesitation there from Cacciola, but he's back easily. Macchia steps in. He walked his last time up. 5 pitches, 5 balls from Tatum, and now he's focused over there. And it's important to keep the runner on, but I wonder how much of this is, hey, we've got somebody else warming up down there. See what we can do to buy some more time. And they're going to have Cacciola in a rundown, but now they're going to try to go home. And Tucker goes home. They get McKinley out at the plate, and that will end the top of the second, but Endicott strikes for 3, and through 1.5, they've got the lead 3-0. Bottom of the second inning, Endicott has scored 3. Tigers have only sent 3 men to the plate, so due up here to start the second for the Tigers will be the cleanup hitter, Michael Goodrich. Goodrich having a fantastic series so far against Endicott. And interesting to see what Oriola's got after waiting a good bit. First pitch breaking ball misses inside. Be 1-0.
Well, the good news for the Tigers, absolutely no reason to panic with how good their offense has been pretty much the entire season. And so long as these guys stay patient at the plate, 3 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs, they can really overcome any deficit. And this offense can come at you like a hurricane, like we saw in the second inning yesterday when they scored 9 runs.
Goodrich ahead 2-1 now. He is 4 for 6 in this series. He has scored 4 runs and he has 5 RBI. Two-one from Oriola. That one shot back up the middle and make it 5 for 7 on the weekend for Michael Goodrich.
What a lovely swing. Pitch was outside. He got the barrel to the ball. He was balanced all the way through. Hard hit on the ground. That's just, it's poetry in motion sometimes to watch a nice swing and a great piece of hitting.
Exactly what Trinity needed, and also having a fantastic series here so far is Mason Meredith. He steps in. Nobody out and a runner on first.
We saw a couple of really wonderful defensive plays yesterday, one by each team. And how about that catch by Mason Meredith in left center field? A lovely diving play. You could see the joy and enthusiasm he had when he sprung off the ground and sort of gave a fist pump. That was such fun baseball, wasn't it?
We've seen that last couple of weekends here from Meredith. He is absolutely having fun out there in center field. Brings a youthful joy back to the game that sometimes comes and goes in a long, near 50-game season. And youthful joy, he is 6 for 9 on the series so far. Had a 3 for 4 day on Friday and a 3 for 5 day yesterday. That moves him up into the order. He had been batting 9th, now batting 5th.
Why not? If you're getting that type of production, move him in a spot where, potentially he can do more damage at the plate. And I love the decision to move him up there. Tigers already getting a lot of runs. Why not see if you can get a few more?
That's an excellent breaking ball from Oriola. Evens count at 2. Goodrich on first, being held on. A little bit of hole there to work with if he wants to go opposite way, and he fouls that one off.
We've seen that now. Back-to-back breaking balls to Meredith from Oriola. And this is a situation similar to what I was talking about, kind of the philosophy that, I learned from Tim Scannell. Why not throw another? You've thrown 2 really good breaking balls. Why not throw another and see if you can get this one just below the knees?
Comes up high with a fastball, and that'll run the count full. Not a bad idea there, but I think I agree with your approach. Your breaking ball has been looking so good here early on. Pulls something off of this one, and that one's just poked and not going to be able to come in and get it. But a fielder's choice nonetheless. Fantastic job. We've said it all weekend. John Duffy, as much as Mason Meredith has played an excellent center field, John Duffy has played an incredible right field. And he wasn't able to field that one to record the out. But with Goodrich only going halfway, not knowing if that was going to be caught or not, Duffy comes up firing into second and takes the hit away from Meredith, and that'll be a fielder's choice. So 1 down, and same situation for Brennan Caraway, runner on first.
Yeah, and you can't really fault Goodrich in a situation like that. That's just really high baseball IQ from Duffy in that situation.
Yeah, Goodrich did everything right on that play. You can't get doubled up if they make that catch, because if Duffy comes in and makes a catch, Goodrich is likely doubled up if he doesn't stay where he was. But as soon as that ball fell, he turned and he sprinted as hard as he could, but he's got to cover 60 feet in the time that it takes Duffy to field the ball cleanly off of one hop and come up firing into second. The advantage not with the runner on that one.
Well, this will be an interesting time to see whether or not the Tigers Put a guy like Meredith in motion. Pretty good speed on the bases as well, and see if you can make something happen here.
Sounds like Endicott's thinking the same thing you're thinking as they throw back over and trying to keep Meredith close. He does take off and run. And a little half-hearted swing by Caraway. Try to maybe keep the catcher from fielding that one cleanly. So it'll be a runner in scoring position with one down now. But the strike makes it 1-2. Caraway not in the order yesterday, as Dallas Bender being the designated hitter. Back on Friday, though, he was 1 for 2 with a run scored and an RBI. He was also hit by a pitch.
He's been hit by a couple pitches this series now. If he gets hit today, that's officially a streak.
It was a good-looking breaking ball, but it misses. Now 2-2.
He's gotten a majority of his strikeouts on the swing and miss from curveballs. He tried to slip that one on the back door.
Count runs full. First base is open.
Again, he went with a fastball there, 2-2, and I think I'd much rather see him go with another curveball. I mean, that has been your best pitch so far this afternoon. Certainly not as difficult with this left-on-right matchup, but still. Missed outside again.
The Tigers will take it, and a great at-bat there by Caraway. Gave up one of his strikes so that Meredith would have a better chance to get down to second. Then he draws the walk.
John Tucker.
So John Tucker, who has been batting third this season, he steps in, now batting seventh. And this is an excellent spot for Tucker if he can refine his form. Started off the season absolutely torching the ball. Has cooled off quite a bit since then. But he is the type of guy that can give you a good shot out into the outfield and potentially bring home two guys here with a single base hit.
Well, now I think a little bit of mind games squaring to bunt in that situation. You know, with one out, moving the runners to second and third, you wonder how much good that does you. But getting a one-ball, no-strike count, now that is valuable for a guy like Tucker. If you get a fastball here somewhere in the zone and you're Tucker, it is your responsibility to make sure that you do not miss it. And if you get a curveball, that's okay. Let it go. Even if it's a strike, a 1-1 count, you can work from that.
Well, I'll have a lot more to work with now as it runs to 2-0.
The 2 balls and no strikes. We've seen Oriola go with an off-speed pitch. I don't know if in a hitter that's what you necessarily want to sit on here, because if you see the spin, your brain's going to tell you, there it is, go swing.
And he gets into this one. Left center field gap, going back, looking up, and it is tied 3-3. John Tucker with a 3-run shot. And just like that, the 2-0 count gets the fastball he's looking for, and he does not miss.
I mean, this game doesn't have to be as hard as players make it, okay? You're sitting 2 balls and no strikes. You have a couple guys on, and you've seen 2 fastballs now. So all you're telling yourself is, if it's there, treat it like batting practice in your final round, man. Swing out of your shoes. Not actually, but you get the idea, right? You know, really get after it. Let some power behind the swing. And if it's not that, don't worry about it. You'll get another pitch. You don't have to be selective. You can be selective here. You don't have to have a 2-strike approach. That was just brilliant from John Tucker. Absolutely phenomenal swing. Oh, that's a great feeling for the Tigers.
Well, John Tucker joins Jack Vonderhaar and Michael Goodrich with a team lead of 1 home run each. And Vonderhaar gets hit by the pitch here as he was squaring to bunt and pulls it back. Yeah, and going back to Tucker, one of the other things we talked about, he had been batting third all season. He gets bumped down to 7th. Some situations you get a guy who's like, oh, I got bumped down the lineup. I'm not hitting the ball the last couple of days. Mentally, they can fall apart. John Tucker was just like, all right, fine. I'm batting seventh, but I've got two guys on. Let me go have some fun with this. And to stay in his rhythm, to stay in his zone and be the hitter that he can be, it's a fantastic job by Tucker. We're going to get a mound visit here after Vonderhaar was hit by the pitch.
I mean, to me, that's the at-bat of the season. And I know, 3 pitches, 3 fastballs, 2 of them out of the zone, and then, one right down Main Street. How can that be the at-bat of the season? But from the things that we talked about kind of going into that at-bat and pitch by pitch, to me, that's John Tucker just understanding the game, understanding the situation. And we have talked about maybe a lack of focus in these 2 games. That's a player that is dialed in, that is paying attention pitch by pitch, and that will make any coach have way more faith and trust in one of their guys. And for Tucker, I think that about right there, you're going to get a start at least for the next 5 games because you earned it.
Definitely looking like a solid senior leader is Tucker. Here is a freshman who has started the majority of the games here for the Tigers, MJ Metz. If you look at traditional baseball stats, he's batting 143. That doesn't look very good. But if you look at some of the new metrics that are out there, I think it shows you that what we're seeing is a guy who's hitting the ball squarely, but he's just hitting the ball right at people. And so even though he's only batting 143, he's still in the lineup because he looks like immense talent at third base, fields it really nicely. And the only issue that he's really had is he's hit the ball squarely right at a couple of position players.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of that, and I think it's a young player perhaps getting in his own way at times. I mean, at the highest level, the best hitters, whether they're going, in a stretch where they're 0 for 20 or they're 15 for 20, their attitude really doesn't change and their confidence doesn't change. And I think for Metz, what we have seen at times is a guy who is feeling pressure to deliver, who wants to try and keep his starting spot over at third base, and perhaps a little bit of anxiety at times. And he just has to trust his swing, trust his ability. He's a really good player, and he sees the strike zone well. He can hit for power. He can hit to all parts of the field. Just relax. Relax in your at-bats. Trust yourself. Trust that ability. He'll be fine if he's able to do that.
Yeah, it's not every day that you see a freshman come in here and start for the Tigers. He lays into that one. That one's going to go well foul. That one hit probably about 3 feet below the top of the net that protects the outdoor pool. Definitely home run power from Metz there. They pulled that one about a quarter-mile foul. And I think the other thing that he'll learn as he just is around more and more is he is going to get caught looking on that outside fastball, is that at some point you have to realize you're still in the starting lineup, and there's a reason for that. You just go up there and continue to have fun and have confidence in yourself, and eventually it's going to turn around. And it's all going to turn around for him at some point, and when it does, we're going to be talking about him the same way that we talk about John Tucker. And speaking of solid senior leadership, Logan Morrison, the senior from Temecula, California, steps in. He'll take outside for strike one.
Oriella really working that outside corner. Got the strike 3 call on Metz, and now the first pitch strike on Morrison. And if you're Morrison or if you're on deck or any Tiger hitter, you got to be aware of that adjustment and ready to protect that part of the strike zone.
Morrison 0 for 1 today. He struck out to lead things off for the Tigers. Got a 1-1 count. Vonderhaar still over there on first base, but 2 down for the Tigers. Both teams have plated 3 runs here in the second inning. Tigers doing so on a 3-run homer by John Tucker. Morrison now ahead 2-1. Had that one off the end of his bat. Tough play here at second base, but Able to do so will be Allaire. And Morrison down now 0 for 2 on the day, but the Tigers tie it up here in the second inning, and we're 3-3 going to the third. Top of the third inning for Endicott. Left fielder Anthony Macchia steps in against Jimmy Tatum. And Tatum starts off with a strike. Activity for the Tigers out in their bullpen. Thacker warming up. Probably expect to see the Tigers make quite a few pitching changes today. Guys that they feel comfortable going 3 or 4 innings out of the pen, I think they've used already in this series. Don't know if they'd be bringing them back. 2 days rest, maybe one of the guys, but certainly not the vast majority of them, especially those who pitched yesterday. Tatum now with a 1-2 count working in his favor.
I think this is a situation for Tatum where you give him as much as he's willing to give you. And if he is going to go out and throw strikes, you got a great curveball, does Tatum. And if he can just locate with that fastball, you let him go for a few more innings. But if all of a sudden that command, again, is sort of wishy-washy, then you've got to react accordingly.
This one swung on and just fouled down the first baseline. Yeah, I think, this is still, even though it's the third series of the year, this is still early part of the year for Trinity. Say that, we're just under a fifth of the way through the whole thing now, but for the Tigers, they still need to find out, who they have that will come in game time situations. You mentioned they scrimmage all the time. Scrimmaging and game times situations are completely different. As Macchia holds on to the 1-2 count and lines one back up the middle for a single.
Batting fourth, the catcher, number 5, Brendan McDonald.
So Macchia with his first hit of the day. He's 1 for 1, and that'll bring up McDonald. Donald grounded out to short to end the first inning. Had that ball that was back up to the middle, hit the bag, and incredible play by Wisniewski. Macchia takes off running. That one hits Macchia in the helmet. This goes all the way into center field, but Meredith doing his job backing up, gets it back in quickly.
Well, Josh, that's why we wear those things, for goodness sake, all right? There's a prime example of it. Doinked right off the helmet. And
hey, sometimes you have to have it more on the base pass than you do while you're at the plate. Not a good example right there. But again, another stolen base. Team's running on Goodrich and the Tigers.
Well, no better pitch to run on than a curveball. And not sure if that's what Endicott was expecting or if they wanted to get the wheels in motion as soon as possible. But either way, it worked out nicely for him. But that was, to me, was the best exchange I saw from Goodrich. You know, again, on the curveball, tough to try and have a chance. But that one, I thought that one was the closest that we've seen.
Now 1-2 from Tatum. He's done a good job of getting 2 strikes on hitters. Just have to see if he can close out the at-bat. Goes upstairs, but going with it was McDonald. And throw home is going to be in time. The Tigers get the out at the plate on Macchia. And a nice job coming in was Vonderhaar to make the play from left field.
Boy, that's a tough call in that situation. If you're going to cut that ball off, it's got to be a quick transfer and it's got to be a good throw. And it was a quick transfer from Metz, but that throw, if you want to use pitching terms, was a little bit high and outside, towards the first base side of the third base line. And on a bang play like that, with that high throw, you really got to get that tag down on the leg. And at first glance, it didn't necessarily look like he did that, but obviously the home plate umpire with the best view of it. So now I can see why you're frustrated if you're Endicott, but great play for the Tigers and for Jimmy Tatum. You never want to come out after giving up a base hit, but tip your cap to your defense there for keeping a run off the board.
And that'll be it for Tatum. So we'll be back in just a minute with the new pitcher. Making his way on back-to-back days will be Ian Hushin. Hushin yesterday, an inning and a third, gave up 3 hits and a run, struck out and walked 1, faced 9 batters. And back out here again for the Sunday tilt. First pitch will miss for ball 1. Kyle Brennan steps in. He's officially 0 for 0. Got hit by a pitch back in the second inning. Led off the second inning, getting hit in the foot. Throw over on McDonald, and he's back in easily.
Obviously, given how recently we saw Hushin pitch, you wonder what his limit will be this afternoon. It would be hard to imagine him going more than 2 innings, and so this, obviously, Tim Scannell and Dave Smith feel like this is an important part of the game to make sure that the Tigers sort of get back on track, but equally as important is figuring out, okay, who's going to come in after Hushin, and how do we want to try and turn this, the remaining 6 innings of this game, how do we turn this into a 4-inning game or a 3-inning game and manage your way from there?
That one hit solidly but foul down the left field line. Yeah, with one down already here, I could see Hushin closing this one out if he's able to work quickly, coming back for maybe the 4th inning. But I think you're right. I can't really see him, I think even on his best day, going more than 2 innings at this point in the season. So it'll be interesting to see what Trinity continues to do. And Hushin comes in and gets a strikeout. That'll definitely help the cause. Brennan goes down, and that brings up John Duffy. He struck out looking last time up.
Beautiful pitch from Hushin. I was thinking in my head, Matt, he's really covering the plate. A fastball inside would be good, given how late he was on the previous pitch, but instead he goes with a curveball, and the bottom just fell out of that pitch. Started right at the hip, and I swear Goodrich was catching that just above the dirt. Phenomenal, phenomenal pitch.
First pitch swinging for Duffy, fouls it off. Yeah, Hushin, I think, safe to say he probably has the highest velocity of the Tigers here. He'll touch 94 at his peak.
Well, the thing is, guys out of the bullpen, they're kind of only expected to have a 2-pitch mix. So for Hushin, if your plus pitch is your fastball, and that's going to be somewhere in the 90s range, you should be throwing that 80% of the time, especially if these guys are seeing you for the first time. I know he pitched a little bit earlier, so some guys might have a little bit of a mental note, but really attack the strike zone with that fastball.
Rolled up to Wisniewski, the little toss to Morrison, and Hushin comes in, faces 2, and he's out of the 3rd. Endicott threatens, but they can't plate anybody, and we're still tied at 3 after 2.5.
Top of the 3rd.
So we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Jake Martin comes up for the Tigers. Martin, a strikeout victim in the 1st. Oriola's worked rather well. A little bit of trouble last inning, and then missed on the 2-0 pitch to John Tucker, and Tucker sent that one about 400 feet away for the game-tying three-run homer. This one, hot shot over to third. Bald comes up throwing, and Tucker's now 0 for 2 here on this Sunday. Well, up to 45 pitches now.
Third, shortstop number 2, Jack Wisniewski.
You know, Endicott, for starting this season early on, they started with Gould and then with Burke yesterday. Royal now. It's early season going, but I think they've got 3 young pitchers here that they can count on, and these are guys that have looked really good at times. They've made mistakes, as you would expect, but so far, looks like a pretty solid little starting lineup staff or a starting pitching staff here from the Goals.
No doubt, and I think just getting that confidence and getting actual game repetitions is important for any team to start the season. I mean, we saw a little bit of that from Cortland and Trinity when they started the year. Talent, obviously, kind of flashing in different moments, but that consistency, that's why it's called mid-season form, because it takes a few games to get there.
Wisniewski batting, and he lofts this one up, giving chase. Calling everybody off will be the shortstop. And there are quickly 2 down as McKinley is able to put that one away. So Tigers 1-2-3 hitters just not producing at all today. But this is a part of the lineup here, starting at the 4 spot, where Trinity looks to get everything going. Goodrich already 1 for 1. He steps up now with 2 down. Of course, Tigers done plenty here 2019 with 2 out rallies. First pitch misses for a ball. Wants to work quickly. Comes back, and Goodrich fouls it off to make it 1-1.
Really nice approach from Goodrich. And his first at bat, the way he lined that base hit to the right side. Hard contact, always going to be appreciated.
And make it 2 for 2 on the day. And his first hit was a line drive up the middle of the ground. This one just past the diving reach of Bald at third base. And Goodrich, we talked about it. He's now 6 for 8 on the series so far, and just absolutely looks locked in. I'll bring up Meredith. Meredith 0 for 1. Pops it up. This one looking to stay in play with a chase. And able to gather himself to make the play was McDonald. So even though he had help there coming from Brennan, that one getting just enough out of reach. Strike 1 to Meredith. Goodrich at first. Bit of off-speed pitch. And fielder's choice as McKinley goes to Olaire at second. And the Tigers are out of the third. We've played 3, and we're tied at 3. We'll be back in just a moment. come back to the fourth inning here. Ian Hushin back out there, and as we mentioned, we probably expected him to close out the third and then come back out for the fourth. So there he is. Perkins steps in for the goals. Perkins 1 for 1 on the day. Hit and a run so far. Had the double his last time up.
Josh, and you got a scoring update for us as well for the SCAC Women's Championship as well. I know the Tigers are involved in.
Yeah, the Tigers, who had been shooting pretty poorly going into the break at the half, they were down by double digits, but they've cut the lead back down to 1, 40-39, and they're fighting for that automatic berth in the NCAA playoffs. The Tigers have won 20 games this year. Looks like they're going to need to get that victory today to find themselves in the NCAA postseason, because an at-large bid does not look hopeful from what we've seen in the rest of the region. Hushin squares the count now 2-2. It's Perkins. That one fouled off. Coach Cameron Hill for the women's basketball team. 7th season for the Tigers. He came in and all he's done is win 20 games every single season that he's been here. And it's a remarkable run for the women's basketball program. Full count now. It's a pitch that only Vlad Guerrero would swing at. So it skips in.
It's a pitch only Vlad Guerrero would hit for a double.
And we'll do the full count once more.
You've become a bit of a recent cricket aficionado, and you were speculating a little bit about what Vlad would have been like if he decided to pick up the old paddle.
I think Vlad would be the type of cricketer that would just go up there and hit for weeks. And Hushin with a big strike out there on Perkins.
Can you imagine him in, well, I guess it's called the outfield, but being able to throw and hit that wicket from a good 120 meters away?
Line drive. I mean, I'm not saying that he missed his calling. You make the Hall of Fame in baseball, you don't miss your calling, but what could have been?
What could have been? That's a great question.
What could have been?
I think of a lot of Dominican cricket players are just wondering what could have been. Their team would have looked like. A lot of World Cups.
If only they had the TV deals. They'd go all cricket all the time.
I just wonder also, is it even possible at that point to transition, well, once you've retired from baseball into cricket, if whether or not your skills would allow you to be successful at that highest level? I really don't mean any disrespect to professional cricketers in all seriousness. It's a routine play for the Tigers for the second out, but bowlers, you got good spin and everything like that. Would that not translate as well?
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at some of the highlights there from back in the day, and some of the wicked spin that they put on the ball. I'm like, if you throw that to me in a game of baseball, I'm going back to the dugout and saying, like, I've had enough today.
But I mean, and as well, like David Ortiz, like I feel like you could play cricket now. You don't have to run if you don't want to. Only if you feel like you got it.
Go up there and get a couple of
sixes, yeah, because that's what I'm saying.
just wait it out. As that was Bald who grounded out to Morrison, and that brings up McKinley. McKinley had a 2 RBI single back in the second inning. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what baseball would be like if you just decided, nah, I'm not going to run that one. Give it back to the pitcher. We'll do this all over again.
Yeah, the pace of play issues that we're having would be a serious problem.
Go back, if we did that starting at Friday's game, I think we'd still be in Friday's game. Hushin now with a 2-1 count. And apparently it was a 2-2 count, and that'll end the inning. So we've played 3.5, and we're still tied at 3. We'll be back. Tigers batting here in the bottom of the fourth. Brandon Caraway 0 for 0 with a walk. He'll now be 0 for 1 as he grounds out to Allure at second. One pitch, one out, bottom of the fourth. Welcome back.
Batting seventh, first baseman number 4, John
Oriola's still
Tucker.
out there. Just kind of settled into a groove. We mentioned really only had the one, a little bit of trouble, to Goodrich and had the walk on Caraway before Tucker came up. But he had that one bad pitch after going 2-0 to Tucker, and now he starts Tucker off again with 1-0.
Yeah, a little bit up and down for Oriola, but the fact of the matter is, Endicott, they still have their starting pitcher out there, and I think that the positives can be taken away from that. It's been a little more haphazard for the Tigers, but Hutchins looked good his last couple innings, tie game, so really can't complain.
The 2-0 pitch there, you had to know that was going to come in for a breaking ball somewhere. Not going to give him another 2-0 fastball. And back to the breaking ball again. Nice job by Oriola. Of course, Tucker back in the second inning, absolutely unloading on a 2-0 fastball or a 3-run homer. That one misses low. The count runs full. Bit chilly this morning, but turning into an absolutely gorgeous day here in South Texas. Called strike 3. Tucker down on strikes. There's 2 away.
Once again, that outside part of the strike zone.
It's
been called now for a few innings, and it's a tough pitch for Tucker. I completely understand why you take it, but you also got to know a little bit that part of the strike zone is going to be called, and when you got 2 strikes, open it up and at times be defensive, live to see another pitch.
Looking to see more than the one pitch that he had when he was hit by the pitch. And his first at bat will be Vonderhaar. Swings on that one, fouls it off to the left side. Vonderhaar getting the start again today in left field. Rafe Shamet, who pinch hit yesterday. Looks like they're just going to let it go for another few days before they put him back in the starting lineup. And Vonderhaar showing that he can still provide quality at bats while playing a good left field, so it doesn't really put you at a disadvantage. Oriola again with a breaking ball. That one just misses outside. Now 2 strikes. Or excuse me, 3-1. And with 2 down, the count runs full. And Oriola with a solid 4th inning here for Endicott. Works a 1-2-3, and we'll be back for the 5th, tied at 3 in just a moment. Top of the fifth inning, back to the top of the order for the Gulls, and still out there for the Tigers will be Ian Hushin. Hushin already 1 2/3 innings today. He had an inning and a third yesterday. We'll get a good look at how long Hushin can go. So he skips the first one in on the dirt to Christian Allaire, second baseman for Endicott. Allaire with a walk and a strikeout. And now he's got a 1-1 count. That one shot foul. For Hushin on the day, 3 strikeouts so far in the 5 batters that he's faced. He's thrown 24 pitches for 17 strikes. Now 2-2 on the count. Allaire will work the count full here as the leadoff hitter for the Gulls.
This would be a big inning for Hushin if he can get through the goals pretty quickly here and put another 0 on the board. I think at that point, you'd call it a good day's work for him and really set up the Tigers nicely.
And after he worked the count full, Allaire is going to be 1 for 2 on the
Base hit
day.
for Christian Allaire.
Second time he's been on base, but he gets a single this time.
Number 2 slot center fielder.
Fastball knee high, pretty much right down the middle, and Allaire, if he sees fastball, he knows he's got to swing, and even then, just catching up to it and able to put that ball past the third baseman Metz playing in the corner there. And again, I think Hushin's fastball is so good that should be a pitch utilized more often, and all you have to do is just locate it by a little bit, and it's going to get you a lot of success.
Allaire takes off, and a great throw from Goodrich. Fantastic job. And that leadoff single goes for naught as Allaire is retired. 2-6 on the caught stealing.
Pitcher and catcher there working in tandem. You got Hushin, very quick to the plate there as well. Good fastball in a spot where he was able to handle it was Goodrich. Obviously, it was a strike, and then Goodrich. Nice, clean, quick transfer with the hands and a throw that was on the money. Big out there for the Tigers.
Yeah, it was a quick jump there from Allaire, so it wasn't like he got a bad read off of it. And then Hushin coming back. Big swing and a miss now, 1-2. Yeah, I think Hushin just starting to get a better feel for things. That'll be his 4th strikeout of the day.
Likes going when he's ahead in the count there, 1-2, 0-2. He likes going with that breaking ball that is low, and that's a successful pitch for him. And I think, regardless of obviously I've echoed my philosophy on what he should be throwing with 2 strikes. It's just my opinion, but in a game like this where you are having success with that pitch, keep going to it. That's making a recognition of what's happening in today's game. Oriola was having success with his curveball, getting swing and misses, and then later in the game we see him in similar situations, and he's not throwing that pitch, and you're kind of wondering why deviate from something that is working. And Hushin is doing the exact opposite. Keep doing that if you're with 2 strikes. If you can set yourself up nicely with that fastball to get to 2 strikes, then that 1-2 punch is obviously what's going to be fueling him.
1-1 to Makia, misses upstairs. Yeah, for Hushin, he comes in as a senior here, and he definitely brings that experience to what he's doing. He doesn't look razzled. He works count back now, 2-2. He's going to get hit every now and then. And when you throw as hard as he does, if you hit his fastball, he's going to get hit hard. That one fouled back. but he just kind of stays even keel. Now the 2-2 to Makia. Called strike 3, and we are through 4.5. Hushin is coming in and out of the bullpen, and he's looked really strong.
For the Goals,
Tigers will
top
be
half of the fifth inning, no runs,
coming to the
one hit,
plate, looking to
there were
break
no
the
errors,
3-all
no
tie
players
when we
left
return.
on.
Bottom of the 5th, third baseman MJ Metz leading off for the Tigers. Oriola still dealing out there for Endicott, and the first pitch fouled back on top of the Bell Athletic Center for strike 1. Be Metz, Morrison, and Martin. That one will miss. You know, after all the run scoring that we saw yesterday, a lot of zeros up there on the board here today. Had pretty good pitching the last couple of innings. From both sides, both Hushin and Oriola just kind of settling into that groove.
A couple of pocket threes in that second inning, and that's been all that we've seen so far. And I think that is baseball returning back to normalcy.
Metz will be retired on the ground out to Bald. Making his third plate appearance will be Morrison. He's over 2.
Top of the order, second baseman number 19, Logan Morrison.
For the Tigers, 3 runs on 3 hits. They've committed an error. And for Endicott, 3 runs on 6 hits. No errors. Been pretty clean baseball so far today. Little jam shot by Morrison, right out of Lair, and there's quickly 2 down here in the bottom of the 5th.
Just a little bit of impatience, I think, from the Tigers there. We saw Metz swing at the first pitch. That one was kind of lower in the strike zone. Same thing from Morrison there. You know, nothing wrong with going after the first pitch, but again, if that's your mentality, you want it to be, okay, I'm looking for this particular pitch in this particular area, and then I'm going to absolutely barrel this sucker up if I get it. And if I don't get it, then, hey, let it go. Maybe it is a strike. You go behind 0-1, but, you know, those were borderline, I think, if anything. So maybe you get ahead 1-0 and you're just improving the odds for yourself.
Jake Martin standing in for the Tigers. He started on Friday. He was 2 for 5. But since then, he was 0 for 3 yesterday, and he's 0 for 2 here to start today. So just batting 2 for 10 on the series. Jake Martin, another one of those Tiger players who started off the first 2 series against Cortland and Birmingham Southern, hitting the ball extremely well. Sort of falling into that normalcy a little bit of the season. 2 for 10, not great, but it's not terrible. He's got a 2-2 count here in the 5th inning. Fouls that one back. Just about 3 minutes to go over in the SCAC Women's Basketball Championship Final. Tigers trailing by 3 now to the Bulldogs from Texas Lutheran.
What a game that's turning out to be, huh?
Of course, ramifications pretty serious for both teams. Martin puts this one on a line right at Duffy, and that'll end the 5th. So a 1-2-3 inning once again for Oriola, and we'll head to the 6th. Looking for another run. It's 3-3.
No runs, no.
Well, back for the top of the 6th inning. And when you know it, Ian Hushin, he's rolling. Why not? Throw him back out there. Bernie McDonald, catcher for the Goals, will stand in. On the day so far, McDonald one for 2, and making now 2 for 3. It's that one past Tucker at first base.
Base hit for Brendan McDonald.
7th hit of the
Batting
day
fifth,
for Endicott.
First baseman number 12, Kyle Brennan.
And as you hear the legendary voice of James Hill introducing Kyle Brennan, he steps in now 0 for 1. Nobody currently throwing for the Tigers, so for the time being, this will be Hushin's. Starts off with a nice strike. Throw it back over on McDonald. He's back in easily. Swinging a foul into the dugout.
And there is nobody up right now for the Tigers, so this isn't just a matter of, well, if Hushin has a clean inning, we'll let him go. I mean, it's pretty clear that right now the Tigers either don't see another realistic option at this point in the game, or they are so confident in the way that Hushin has pitched in these previous innings that I'm just expecting him to mow down the Gulls here in the 6th.
The 0-2 pitch misses high. Yeah, and I think at this point, I mean, talk about wanting to see what guys have, and got a chance to see what Hushin does here. And it could be, too, that you've had activity in the bullpen for a while that, some guys are just ready to go, and they might just need another 5 to 10 pitches to get loose enough to go back out there for their warm-up pitches back out on the mound. But a lot of confidence in Ian Hushin. I mean, team showed confidence in him from the very start. As a freshman, he was given the ball in the most important game in Trinity's program's history. Out there for the championship series of the College World Series. This one over the reach of Tucker, who was playing in. And trying to go first to third is McDonald. The throw into third. And now Metz comes up throwing over to Wisniewski at second. Brennan was trying to steal an extra 90 feet. He won't be able to do it. And there will be one down, but job done moving the runner over all the way to third.
Just a beautiful set of throws there from the Tigers. You like to see a strong throw from right field, and then Metz loved the fact that he gets down on a knee to make sure that ball in the dirt doesn't get by him. He's able to get it on the short hop, and the awareness quickly to get to his feet and throw a strike to second base. That's just wonderful execution from the Tigers. And for Endicott's perspective, why be that aggressive? You've had so much success on first and third situations, stealing second base, moving guys over. You're just running into outs.
This one lofted in a shallow left, making a diving catch is Vonderhaar. But that might be maybe a bit of a mistake. They're going to check third.
They're going to call him out.
They're going to call him out. That's going to be a double play. It looks like they've already made the call. Now they're going to check home. They're going to say it's not his call to make.
A lot of finger pointing going on right now. Finger guns are out.
It's going to be interesting. Let's go back to the catch. Vonderhaar, fantastic job laying out for it. The one thing I was going to say was with the runner on third, you run the risk of if you dive for that runner scores. And they're going to say the runner left early.
What is going on? Nobody right now seemingly sure of what's going on. So now we are going to get that conference. And I think they're going to say now that run does count.
Interesting. So there's going to be 2 down, and it's now 4-3 Endicott.
That's a sacrifice fly, so you're right. Endicott takes the lead. And
RBI for John Duffy.
Boy, what a bizarre sequence.
Batting 7th, designated hitter number 33, Nicholas Perkins.
That'll bring up Nicholas Perkins. The bases are now empty, and Endicott's got the lead. First pitch swinging. That'll go down for a strike.
Boy, and with such a big swing there from Perkins. I mean, look at the load. Look at the hitch in his hands. If you're Hushin, just throw fastballs up in the zone and say, go get it, all right? Because I'm banking on the fact that with all of that movement, that there's no way he's going to be able to time up 93, and if he has got to be cheating.
Now 2-2.
You get this fastball right here, right letter high at the Endicott, and Hutchin's going to pick up another strikeout.
Perkins able to foul that one off. That's going to hit Perkins. So he'll make his way down to first. Final in Seguin.
Batting
That's a
Batting eighth,
final.
third baseman, number 8, Matt Ball.
Texas Lutheran up 4 with 0 showing on the clock. And it looks like they've claimed the women's SCAC championship this season and getting the automatic berth to the NCAA playoffs.
Such a tough break for the Tigers. What a season they had, and obviously holding their breath for an at-large bid, although those are so hard to come by in this region.
Yeah, Tigers had the lead late in that game with about a minute to play, and just as it goes, that one slipped away from them. And if you're a Trinity fan, you're hoping that this one doesn't slip away from the Tiger baseball team, but Endicott already with one in here in the 6th, claiming that lead, and then Perkins gets hit by the pitch, so a little bit of opportunity here as Bald steps in, 1 for 2. He's already got an RBI and a run scored. And Hushin, who thought he was out of an inning, now throwing an extra 10 pitches.
It's interesting how the mindset changes when you think you're out of an inning. You're fired up, you think you got the double play, and it's taken away from you. How you sort of reset and go back out to work. That's no easy thing for a pitcher, I think.
I don't want to get away from Goodrich, so Perkins now in scoring position. Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's tougher for somebody. You know, you feel like, all right, I'm out of that inning, especially an inning like it was. You had a runner at third, and you're like, okay, crisis averted, and then all of a sudden it's like, run scores, and now I'm still here trying to get that third out. Hushin looks in, runner at second, 2-2 pitch, 2 out, top of the 6th. Third baseman balled up for Endicott. That's that one over to Wisniewski at short. Comes up firing to Tucker, and that will be the third out. But Endicott strikes here in the top of the 6th. They lead 4-3. We'll be back in a moment. Bottom of the 6th inning, and you can see it there on your screen. Victor Molly will come in to pitch for Endicott. And Molly getting an extended warm-up. He comes in for the first time. He'll face Wisniewski, Goodrich, and Meredith here in the bottom of the 6th. For Wisniewski, 0 for 2 on the day. First pitch from Molly goes for strike 1.
Obviously, first look what we're getting at Molly here this series. But for any pitcher that's coming into the game for Endicott, again, we've said it once and we'll say it again, the ability to throw strikes, especially now that it's a close game, the Gulls have the lead, that is paramount here for Coach Haley. And just being able to look at guys on the bench at this point in the season, this is only their 3rd game of the year, mind you. And so obviously first appearance of 2019 for Molly, but you're almost doing double with every good pitch that you're able to make and earning the trust of the coach.
Molly listed as a grad student. Falls behind now 2-1. Wisniewski's hit the ball really well this season. 0 for 2 today. Now ahead in the count, 3-1. Tigers conceded the run in the top half of the inning. That would put Oriola in line for the victory. Tigers can't come back to tie it at all. Wisniewski will take a leadoff walk on 4 pitches after the opening strike. That'll bring up Michael Goodrich. Goodrich already 2 for 2 on the day. 2 really nice, hard-hit, low-line drive singles. 1 up the middle and 1 past the diving reach of ball over at third.
Tigers just don't run themselves into a lot of outs, especially by chasing pitches out of the zone. And that's a real plus for this team. Obviously, I think one of the best hitters today for the Tigers, Michael Goodrich, and as Coach Haley, I think, going to just try and settle down Molly on the hill. But this is a situation, again, where it's not worst-case scenario, but it's close up there when you walk the first guy to set up the best hitter that the Tigers have had here this afternoon. And he squares the bunt. If you see him squaring to bunt, that's what you want from an Endicott perspective. If he's going to
take that out.
Yeah, and if the whole play here is, he's just squaring to try and a little bit of deception, he's going to pull it back and take the pitch, then he's giving you strike 1. And that, again, it is so much easier to pitch and it is so much harder to hit when you are down in the count versus when you're ahead of the count. And it's frustrating at times just to watch because these guys are just making this game far harder than it needs to be.
It shows the bunt again, and that one, Goodrich thought it missed slow, but it'll even the count 1-1. You can hear some of the chatter from the dugout there. Just do a job. Goodrich has done that all weekend. 6 for 8 on the year. Wisniewski goes. Goodrich flies this one out to Duffy and right. Wisniewski will track back. Duffy's underneath it. And there's 1 down here in the bottom of the 6th. So a hit and run on for the Tigers. And Goodrich, who's hit 2 solid line drives on the ground today, lifts that one for the first time all day long, and just unfortunate timing for that first fly ball from Goodrich. I'll bring up Mason Meredith, center fielder for Trinity. 0 for 2 today, batting .379 on the year. Activity for Endicott in the bullpen is Will Bryant.
I think like what we saw a little bit in the game yesterday for the Tigers. This is an insurance policy right now, warming up in the bullpen just to make sure that this game, or excuse me, this inning doesn't get out of reach of Molly, that the Tigers, if they're starting to maybe bruise something on the bases, that Endicott is able to have a response and have one quickly to try and neutralize the situation. And we've seen it. The Tigers, they score runs in bunches. They're not just tiny rallies.
Wisniewski has faked his run from first those last two pitches, and I'm sure he would have, in hindsight, loved to have taken off on either one of them. We'll see if Coach Scannell tries to put anything into motion here. 2-1 pitch coming his way from Meredith. This one, chopper, fielded by... It's going to be fielded by the shortstop, McKinley, as Ball basically ran through it. And probably go down as a base hit. That a slow-rolling chopper into the infield. And it looked like McKinley may have had a chance to get the out. The umpire maybe coming up with the out call, but then the ball didn't quite get to the glove. And so it'll be runners first and second for Brendan Caraway. Caraway 0 for 1 on the day.
Big at bat here for the Tigers. You got an opportunity now to tie the game. You've got some pressure being applied. It's time to capitalize on this situation and seize that momentum once again.
Caraway walked in the second, then he grounded out to second back in the fourth inning. Goes up there and takes strike one. Interestingly, he's the first Tiger batter who hasn't gone up there showing bunt. Do have one down here in the inning. This one hit. Rolling over from second as Allaire. Caraway works as good as a sacrifice. Moves the runners over to second and third, but with two down, it's going to put a big responsibility on John Tucker's hands.
First baseman
Tucker
John Tucker.
went yard back in the second for a 3-run shot. Struck out looking in the fourth. So he's 1 for 2.
Well, he had one good at bat his first time up, and by good I mean excellent. I mean, he really had a great approach at the plate, and now an opportunity to try and have another one.
Take strike one. Tucker doesn't need to be as heroic as his first at-bat. A base hit will do the job here. Checks his swing. No, he doesn't. Now 0-2. So he got that home run on a 2-0 pitch. 0-2 is going to be completely different for him.
Right, but he wasn't trying to hit a home run in his first at-bat. That was just the byproduct of a good approach and a good swing. And, frustration there on that check swing. You just like the second base umpire to go ahead and make that call unless you're absolutely certain if you're the home plate umpire.
Molly misses, now 1-2.
Couple of strikes to shorten up the swing, make contact, protect the outside part of the plate.
Contact made into the hole. McKinley comes up firing, and he makes the play. And what a defensive job there from Endicott. Nice job by the shortstop McKinley to send us to the seventh. And Endicott's holding that 4-3 lead.
Top of the seventh inning for the Gulls. Batting ninth, shortstop number 21.
So top of the seventh, and you make the play in the field to save a run, and you get a chance to step up, be the first batter of the inning. Let's see what McKinley has for Endicott. Ian Hushin still out there for Trinity, but action stirring over on the far side in the Tiger bullpen. 1-2 now from Hushin. This one fouled off. Tigers had an opportunity to tie the game there. John Tucker comes up a half step short of being safe at first. An excellent job by McKinley deep in the hole. So he stays alive here with another foul ball. And then a strong throw over to first base. Not only keeping the game advantageous for Endicott, but the strong throw being important. Had he thrown an errant throw, Trinity would have been able to take the lead. But unable to do anything offensively here, as Hushin with another strikeout. His sixth so far, as he's
Top of the order, second baseman number 18,
worked
Christian
officially
Alea.
now 4 full innings.
And if he's able to get through this inning, I think for me, Hushin, player of the game for the Tigers, up to this point. Just outstanding what he's been able to do. He's pitched on Friday. Big workload here in the Sunday afternoon game. Bit of an earlier start. And, at a time where the Tiger offense has gone a little quiet, they haven't scored since the second inning. He has done everything he can to keep the Tigers in the game and to be in a position to try and maybe take a late lead and get this sweep. Ian Hushin, very impressive.
Yeah, 5 1/3 innings so far this weekend from Hushin. You get that out of your reliever. That's working a pretty solid weekend. The Tigers, it looks like it's number 38, Corey Cater, warming up. The 4-pitch walk, and we may see Cater sooner rather than later.
Number 2 slot, center fielder, number 2, Dan Cacciola.
And trying to keep an eye on both Dave Smith and Tim Scannell. Smith yet to sit down. Throw over to first. Now he does, so looks like it'll still be Hushin here for Cacciola. Nice throw from Hushin, right on the spot where you want it to be. Low and at the bag, right where the hand's going to come in at. Now Hushin goes home. Cacciola on a line drive shot, but right at Meredith. He scoots over a little bit to his right. And there are 2 down here in the top of the 7th.
Batting third, left fielder number 9, Anthony Macchia.
That'll bring up left fielder Anthony Macchia. Macchia 1 for 2 today. And the importance of what Hushin is doing here, he can keep it going, give way to Cater for maybe the 8th and the 9th. Sets Trinity up really well to close this one out. Try to keep the game, try to keep Endicott down to just those 4 runs. Fastball to start. Macchia is going to be outside. A little surprised that we haven't seen Endicott run here with Allaire. They haven't been running as much since Goodrich was able to throw out his first runner of the weekend. Now 2-0.
Yeah, and perhaps signs that Hushin is getting a little fatigued right now. He's missing the strike zone not by a lot, and it means he's maybe trying to overcompensate a little bit with his lower half as he gets tired. And I think if this could be his last batter, regardless.
Alera's going to swipe second. Had a good break on it, and throw was a little bit to the third base side of second. So now runner in scoring position. Called strike. Two and one from Hushin. So he checks on Alera at second. Now to the plate. This one roped into right field, right at Von der Hart. Comes up, bobbles it, and that's going to allow the run to score. Endicott takes a 2-run advantage here with another run scored in the 7th. And Macchia now 2 for 3 on the day. That'll bring up McDonald. And that'll be it for Hushin. So we'll be back in just a moment. See who's coming out of the pen for the Tigers. New pitcher here for the Tigers, making his 4th appearance in 2019. It'll be Corey Cater. 10 and a third, 9 Ks, 1.74 ERA. Go against Bernie McDonald. Runner on first, inherited. That runner goes, and Goodrich throws down. And it'll be a stolen base for Macchia. We'll put runner in scoring position here against Cater. That runner is the responsibility of Hushin. So we can't close out the book on him just yet. Cater comes in now 2-0. McDonald 2 for 3 today. Over to Wisniewski. It's short. Over to Tucker, and that will do it. Cater comes in and finishes off the top of the 7th. Stretch time here at the ballpark, but it is 5-3. The visitors in the
For the
lead.
goals, top of the
8-9 hitters due up for the Tigers. Vonderhaar to get us started. Molly's still out there for Endicott. Tigers down a pair. First pitch in for a strike from Molly. That one fouled off. Now 0-2.
Vonderhaar so reliable this season, with his offensive contributions. It just seems like he finds a way to come up with a big hit or draw a walk, or he was hit by a pitch earlier today. Finds a way on base so well, and we obviously saw Coach Tim Scannell bringing his entire team before this inning started. Just some words of encouragement. Try and get these guys going again, because they've definitely been in a lull since the second.
Yeah, with the exception of 3 at-bats, this team has pretty much been in a lull all day here today. Had a couple of defensive lapses early on. They didn't necessarily errors, but just plays that didn't get executed very well. The 1-2 from Molly. Now 2-2.
Couple of borderline pitches there from Molly. He thought both of them were strikes and was ready to make his walk around the mound. And it can be frustrating as a pitcher here. He's got to be careful not to make a mistake with this pitch.
Donald trying to frame it up for him, and he's not going to get the call, so tries to skirt around the strike zone, get the third one looking, and he can't do it.
And I think they're all good calls. I think all of them have missed out of the strike zone, but if you add up the misses of those 3 pitches, you might get a couple of inches. I mean, they're so borderline.
Do it again. Dugout for the Tigers starting to get a little bit louder. Maybe get a little bit more into this one.
They just need that leadoff guy to get on, and you will see the energy from that dugout double, and that's the sort of thing I think fuels your hitters.
Swing and a miss. Molly gets Vonderhaar down on strikes. And we're going to get a pinch hitter here for Mets. It's going to be Dallas Bender.
now batting in the number 9 slot, number 17, Dallas Bender.
What a job by Molly coming in. We've talked about all weekend guys not able to come in and throw strikes, and Molly out of the pen looking rather effective. And of course, as I say that, he starts off 1-0 against Bender.
Yeah, but these are close misses. This is someone who obviously knows where he's trying to go, and when you're off by a little bit, you're able to get, I think, a few more calls. And I think the problem we've seen from some of the Endicott pitchers yesterday, and a few of the Tiger pitchers today, coming into the game, and when you're missing by a foot and a half, that's a bit more problematic.
Bender was 2 for 5 yesterday, serving as the designated hitter for Trinity. Now ahead 2-1. Bender lays off. Now he should be able to find a pitch that he likes here at 3-1. Chopped. Half swing over to first, and handling that one easily as Brennan knocked it down, kept it in front of him, gathered himself, and easy jog to the bag. And there are 2 away here in the bottom of the 7th.
The top of the order.
Well, it's easy to look at it from hindsight's perspective, but like you said, a 3-1 count, obviously you're able to look for something that you like, and when you think of 3-1 swings, you probably don't want it to be a check swing on a pitch up and away. If anything, take a daddy hack and swing and miss or foul it away, but if you're going to give a 3-1 swing, make it something memorable and not one that's 40%.
Yeah, basically did Molly a huge favor right there. Probably would have gone down as ball 4, but like you said, if you're going to go up there hacking at it, just go for it. Bring up Morrison back to the plate. He's 0 for 3, and that one popped into short center. Going back, Allaire. He's 0 for 4. We're through 7. Tigers trail by 2. We'll be back for the 8th here in a moment. Top of the 8th, Corey Cater back out there for Trinity. 5, 6, 7 hitters due up for Endicott. Brennan, Duffy, and Perkins. Endicott holding to the 2-run lead. Looking to get their first win of the season. That one shot foul. And for the goals, looking to continue to build on what they've done the last few years. They've typically been a team that finishes around 25 and 15, somewhere, a couple of games plus or minus in that general area. One away from the NCAA regional last season.
Well, this is sort of where the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, because you have two teams going head-to-head here. And good teams, when you're up by 2 in the 8th inning, need to close out games. And on the other side, for the Tigers, they're an excellent team, no doubt about it. And when you are a good team and you're down 2 runs in the 8th inning, you're expected to find a way to put together some late runs. You're expected to find a way to just pull out a hard-fought victory. And we've seen that a couple times, a couple of great walk-off wins this season for Trinity. But this is, we're going to find out who's able to execute here. Is it going to be Endicott finally getting that late-game pitching, or is Trinity going to save their best for last once again?
Yeah, for both of these teams, a great opportunity here to get close baseball here early in, well, now we're late February, but early on in the season. This is the type of stuff that these teams are going to be expected to have figured out by April. Duffy shot right at Dallas Bender, who took over from Metz, pinch hitting last inning, and now he's out at third base. 2 down here quickly for Cater in the 8th. Trinity ranked number 4 in Division III NCAA baseball. Endicott not ranked at this point, but looking at their schedule, if they put together a couple of wins going forward, they're a team that has a really good shot at cracking the top 25. Perkins now. And for Trinity, starting off 6-1 on the season, they've faced a top 10 team in Cortland. They won that series 2-0. Then they went 2-1 against Birmingham Southern, a team that over the past decade has been, I believe, in about 8 different regionals. Now Endicott, who was in a couple of regionals a few years back. This one up the middle. Morrison to handle. Over to Tucker. It's a 1-2-3. Top of the 8th for Cater. Tigers need runs. We'll see what they've got in the 8th. We'll be back. Two, 3, 4 hitters due up here for Trinity in the bottom of the 8th inning. Victor Molly, he's cruised since he came into the game. He'll be back out there for Endicott. And Jake Martin looking to get on for Trinity. Something he's yet to do today. 0 for 3 with a strikeout.
We saw an impressive pitching performance, I think, from Hushin over the bulk of his work today. I know he gave up a couple of runs, and that's the difference right now. And I don't think anyone would stop and really point the fault at Hushin, as Duffy's there for the first out. And, Molly wasn't the most convincing, I think, when he came in the first couple of batters that he faced, but he's a guy that has settled into this game nicely, and really, I don't think we've seen the Tigers really square him up all that well. I mean, that was a nice piece of hitting right there on the line out to right, but, outside of that, hard to find examples of where Molly's sort of been knocked and socked around.
No, he's kept everything very clean, and the shots that Trinity has been able to hit, they've been right at people. Wisniewski 0 for 2. And, Molly, I think one of the big things that he's done is he's jumped out early throwing strikes. A lot of 0-1 counts to start off hitters.
Just takes a man getting on base for the Tigers, and you're going to see the attitude change and the spirits lift for those guys waiting in the dugout. Anything can happen, ball in the dirt. It gets you to second base. Base hit, maybe brings home a run. I mean, we've seen so many creative ways this series of teams manufacturing runs.
This one hit sharply, but it's going to be right at Cacciola. Now 2 down here, but if you're Trinity, you've got Michael Goodrich, who's 2 for 3 on the day, coming to the plate. You've only got 4 hits as a team. He's got half of them. If you're looking for somebody to help get you started, it's a good place to look.
Don't count out 2 out rallies either. Tigers, this series scored, 20 runs? So, in fact, they only have 3 here. Maybe they're saving them for when they absolutely need them.
Goodrich takes his time to step in. Now that he does, Molly delivers. That one up high and inside.
That's what you need to see more out of pitchers. At this level, at some of the higher levels as well. Guys got to be afraid to go inside. Make someone back off the plate. You're not trying to hit anybody. You're not trying to hurt anybody, but it's okay if every now and then players are a little uncomfortable with a pitch being inside. I mean, you used to watch baseball in late 80s, early 90s. Guys, it seemed like back then, not afraid to get up under your chin and let you know who's there.
That was a bigger part of the game back then. Establish your dominance from the mound.
Hell, you go back earlier, Nolan Ryan didn't like you. He would just hit you. Give you one right in the numbers, and you got a problem with it, you can go ahead and meet me on the mound.
A few tried. They were unsuccessful. Goodrich down 1 and 2 here. Endicott wanted that one. Not going to get it, though.
It's funny. It's a good take there from Goodrich. The pitch was low, but he quickly snapped his head back just to make sure. There's a little holding of the breath because even though you're sure, you're not sure.
If anybody knows where the strike zone's been today, it is Goodrich. That one rolled over. McKinley at short comes up. It's 1-2-3 from Molly. Going to the 9th. Endicott 5, Trinity 3. ninth inning here. Matt Ball to lead off the inning for Endicott, and Corey Cater, after a quick work of the eighth, back out there for the ninth for Trinity. Endicott trying to take down the number 4 ranked team in the country. Ball squares to bunt, pulls it back, and takes for strike one.
Nice piece of hitting there from Bald, and again, they just continue to be pesky here this afternoon. Diving effort by Binder, but gets right through the 6 hole, and be interesting to see whether or not they decide to run again. And with the success that Endicott has had this series, you'd think to yourself, why not? You got to lose at this point. You got the 2-run lead. A third would be great, but you'd hope that 2 would be enough.
Yeah, the important insurance run. Leadoff hitter makes his way down. That's Bald. And if you're Endicott, you are pretty aware of the fact that Trinity, with a couple of Bender indecisive on that one, and then slow over to first, but we'll get the out for the first of the ninth.
Good play by Binder there, though. He thought about going to second base. That was the hesitation there, and in his mind, not worth the risk in that situation. They squared early. Obviously, it was a fake, kind of a slash play, but if they at least were going to feign the idea of giving up and out to move the runner over, like you said, just take the out. Just take the out. You've got one down now. Let Cater get back to work here. See if he can get out number 2.
Yeah, trust in your pitcher. If you end up giving up one more run, well, you give up one more run. The last thing you want to do is have Endicott blow this one wide open. Then you go down to the bottom of the ninth, trailing by 4, 5, maybe 6.
And you just don't want to make unnecessary mistakes on these unforced errors, because if you go to second base and he's safe and everybody is safe, then they're just going to lay down the bunt like they were, looking to do their first time up. Again, I understand they slashed, but the situation given, Endicott clearly okay with, sacrificing an out to move the runner. And I don't know, you got no 2 count here. Things are looking good for the Tigers for the time being.
Allaire 1 for 2 on the day. 3 for 6 yesterday. Cater steps off. And if you're Endicott, you've got to be looking at it going, our pitching has shut down this potent offense to this point. They've got 3 runs on 4 hits. All 3 of those runs came on 1 pitch. And so you've done your job. Fouled back. Tigers got 2 hits back in the second inning. They got a hit in the third, and they got a hit in the 6th. Other than that, the only base runners they've had have either been walked or hit by the pitch. So Trinity hasn't gone out there and earned a whole lot of it today. Little check swing by Allaire. Bender over to first. They've got 2. Runner advances to third, but Tigers will take it.
That's pretty nice base running over there at second base also. First off, tremendous play by Binder to get the range, but a ball hit to the left side, and you at second base, you are taught, do not go, right? Don't go unless it's hit behind you, kind of right at you. That was definitely not the case. That ball was definitely hit to the right of the base runner, and he just took off on contact, kind of hoping they would get there. So I don't know if that was a risk v reward or he was just able to read the play, but defensively tip the cap to Binder, and also, again, nice base running.
And good job by Bald. Got a full-on emergency meeting here by the Tigers. They brought everybody in. 2 outs here, top of the ninth. Double barrel action in the bullpen. We've got a lefty and a righty. Looks like Loneker, the righty, and the lefty, uncertain about.
Maybe it's just me in situations like this. I'm always rooting for the hidden ball trick. I'm not even 100% on what the rules are, where if a pitcher can be on the mound or whatnot and all that, but Oh, it's in his hands. I was disappointed when you see that. You know what I mean? They're kind of letting the air out of the balloon, but I don't know, maybe it's a pebble.
Yeah. Yeah, no rosin bag for him to be holding instead, but
Yeah.
they're going to intentionally walk the 2-hole hitter, and that is Casciola. So he'll go down to first, and that puts a force play on at second base, which, I don't know, maybe not a bad idea, but they're going to instead want to throw to Makia, who's 2 for 3 on the day.
I was going to say, interesting. You walk the 0 for 3 guy, and you go for the 2 for 3 guy. Obviously, there's something the Tigers see and they want. And the other thing also, you set up the force at second base with 2 outs, but now Tucker, the first baseman, he's got to hold that runner on. And so you're giving up some defensive coverage to that right side with a left-handed hitter coming up. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, again, you would think conventionally this is kind of going against the book on a couple instances, but obviously you got to trust your stuff, and they are obviously comfortable with the situation.
We've also got to be slightly worried about the fact that they've already turned a lot of walks into essentially doubles by stealing second. So if I'm Endicott, and there he goes, and it's not going to be a throw. So now you've given them a runner at second base. Very interesting indeed. Makia now has 2 in scoring position.
Tim Scannell kind of throwing his hands up. Obviously, they had something in mind of what they wanted to execute, and it completely botched on that play. But you're right. You're just giving now 2 runners in scoring position, and hopefully that doesn't come back to cost the Tigers, because it's on them at that point.
Yeah. Corey Cater, though, working effectively. Now 0-2 on Makia. Yeah, maybe Cater's just like, look, just let me throw to the guy. Put the ball in my hands and let me do the job.
Well, and that's got to be the attitude. First and third, it's obviously a little bit different, but runner on third, 2 outs. And, I was kind of referencing this earlier in the series when the Tigers, they had a multiple-run lead, late in games, 8th inning and 9th inning. So what if they get a guy on base? Forget about that. Just do your job with the guy at the plate, and if you win your battle, that's it. Inning over. No damage done.
Chopper over to Tucker. Cater covers, and Cater gets the out. Tigers looking for a walk-off in the 9th. They need 2 to tie, 3 to win it. We'll be back. Bottom of the 9th inning. On to relief for Endicott. Their closer, Will Bryant. The 6'2", 215 senior from Cumberland, Maine, comes back for the 29 campaign, making his first appearance here And in his career, 45 appearances, 17 saves, 55 and 2/3 innings. Has an ERA in his career of 1.46. Now last year, 20 appearances, had 10 saves, but was 1-2 in 27 innings. ERA elevated slightly. It was 2.0. But the guy you want on the mound if you are the Goals, and for the Tigers, they'll go 5, 6, 7. I mentioned it earlier. They need runs to tie. They need 3 to celebrate again. We've had a walk-off in every series for the Tigers. Had one against Cortland, one against Birmingham Southern. Need another one here.
Well, he's got an interesting delivery to the plate, does Bryant, where he picks up his left leg, his front foot, and then it's almost like his balance is falling forward. There's no sort of kick up in the air or rock back. It's just up and down, and when you have runners on, it's a very quick delivery to the plate, but the one question I have is, how is the rest of his body able to catch up to his lower half so fast when you give it almost no time?
From the stats-wise, it looks like he's made it work. As Mason Meredith is in there for the Tigers. He's 1 for 3 on the day. He has the last Tiger hit, and that came back in the 6th inning. Tigers just 4 hits on the day. But if you're Trinity, you forget all about everything that's happened to this point. Just settle in here and try to focus on getting the first guy on. Now full count to the Tiger center fielder. Bryant walks the leadoff hitter. Exactly what you want to do if you're Trinity. Just get guys on base.
Batting sixth, the designated hitter.
You're just
number
playing
3,
with fire when
Dan
you walk the
Carroll.
leadoff guy. Walks and errors, first batter of an inning. You know, coach used to coach at ASU. He coached one of our summer league teams, Eddie Lopez, and always just come back and find a way to haunt you.
0 for 2 today, but 462 here in 2019, Brendan Caraway. He's got the same job. Just find a way to get on base. Move the runner over, get on base. For the Tigers, break baseball down into its simplest form.
Just make it a team game once again. You know, if you're swinging for the fences here, you know, that's a selfish move on your part. None of these guys are pure home run hitters. None of these guys are going to finish the season with 15, 20 bombs. So just set it up for the guy on deck. You know, have a great at bat. Battle each pitch. See if you can get a base hit. See if you can draw a walk and find a way on and just work station to station. That's when the Tigers have been at their best this season.
Bryant. Meredith goes. That ball in the dirt, and he'll have second easily. So great job by Mason Meredith. Chose his 1-1 pitch to go on, and that one was in the dirt. Now Caraway heading to count 2-1. Opportunities here for Trinity.
That first out so big from an Endicott perspective, just to try and find it. And for the Tigers, the more guys they can send up without recording that first out, it's just so much pressure that you're putting on a team that's looking for their first win of the season.
This ball lined into the right at the center fielder. Thought it was headed to the gap. Meredith's going to try to tag, and he is in there. It's going to be safe as third baseman dropped the ball. Ball could not hold on to the ball, and Meredith at third base. Now that run needed, but not as important as the second one that the Tigers will need. There's one down here
Batting
in the
seventh,
ninth.
first baseman number 4, John Tucker.
I'll bring up John Tucker. Now Tucker responsible for all the runs on the scoreboard for the Tigers today. 3-run shot back in the second inning. But since has not had as effective of an afternoon.
Kind of seemed like after the home run, the offense just dried up for the Tigers. And I wonder, did Endicott's pitching, really elevate after that moment? Did the Tiger hitters all of a sudden start thinking, hey, we saw one go out and maybe it's my turn? Or is it in a mix of both? I don't know the answer.
Heading the count now 1-0. Tucker home run in the second, but then struck out looking in the fourth, and then he grounded out to short on a play that, had he been able to beat the throw, would have tied the game at 4 back in the 6th inning. But he was unable to do so, and Endicott added another in the 7th, and that's how they lead by 2. That one gets away, and the Tigers will make this a 5-4 game. But they still need that one more.
Well, you credit Meredith with some excellent base running from the moment that he got on. You steal a base, you tag on a line drive, not on a deep fly ball, so a bit of a riskier play, and then you're rewarded once you get to third because a pitch gets away, and now it's a one-run game. But, okay, now the pressure's gone, right? There's nobody on base, so the Tigers, they got to work so hard again. They got to try and just grind, get a guy on base, and then all of a sudden, right back in business. We talk all the time. We see it in Double-A. You see it in the big leagues as well. Home runs sometimes, they're rally killers. And it's those rallies where it's a couple singles, and then it's a double, and then it's a walk. Those are the big innings.
Shot down the line into left field. John Tucker digging for second, but he's going to hold up, and he'll have a single with one down. And that's an excitement level play there for Trinity. Maybe the type of play that they need to get back going offensively. Tucker's going to give way for a pinch runner.
Looks like Adam Jew once again. And what an at-bat from John Tucker. What a day that he has had today. And a couple of the biggest moments. He comes up with the biggest hits. They've got the third baseman, do Endicott, Matt Bald. They've got him on the line. They're playing the no-doubles defense on the corners, and he still slips it inside somehow. What a job.
Like a sharpshooter in hockey, just finding the one spot where the goalie can't get to, the one spot where Bald could not get it. And that'll bring up Vonderhaar with a runner on. Tigers have brought the winning run to the plate here in the 9th. And Bryant can't get a first pitch strike. Vonderhaar with home run on the season. But he possesses good line drive ability. If he can find himself a gap, got good base runner in Jew.
Well, and how aggressive do the Tigers want to be? We talked about it earlier. Bryant, very, very quick to the plate. Just such a small leg kick, and even when he picks his foot up in the air, it's almost immediately sending his momentum towards home plate. So, for Jew, you'd have to get a bigger lead, you would think, than normal, and you'd have to get a great jump as well.
Yeah, holding, it's not a very big lead for Jew, and he's taken 3 small steps, but typically his right foot hasn't even broken where the grass makes its indention there, cutting across the dirt line. Just not big enough, I think. So if he moves his second, it'd probably be on a pass ball or a wild pitch at this point, unless he's looking for a specific count where he feels like he can take off on. One run already in this inning. That was Mason Meredith, who led off the inning with a walk. Stole second, was advanced over to third on a fly ball. And Vonderhaar with a big swing and a miss. Endicott's dugout loves that one. That gives them 2 outs. And it'll be Dallas Bender up for the Tigers.
Third baseman, number 17, Dallas.
And now you're really sweating over the decision here. If you're Tim Scannell, are you willing to risk putting that runner in scoring position and have a chance to tie the game? Are you willing to risk ending the game here with a guy trying to steal second?
Early indication is no. First pitch misses, ball 1.
And I don't know, he's such a young base runner as well. You know, a guy who obviously comes in. It's expected with him, a ball into the gap, his speed would allow him to score, but it's a lot of pressure to put on a first year to ask to come up with that type of play. And I don't know, I just don't see it.
Yeah, he's back so quickly on those throws over that I almost feel like he could take an extra step or two.
You're right. I'm watching a few over at first. It's not even that. It's the moment that Bryant picks up his front foot, he's already leaning back to first base. He's being extra cautious to make sure he's not picked off. And if that's the case, go ahead and get you a little something bigger.
That one misses as well. Now 2-1. Delivers. Little check swing action. He didn't go, and it's now 3-1. Well, Drew will finally make his way down to second. And that's because Bender walks, and that puts 2 on with 2 out.
Look what the Tigers have here.
And be a pinch runner for Bender. But stepping up to the plate will be a pinch hitter. And that will be Rafe Shamet. The Tigers just missing the preseason All-America team. So where a couple of guys who put out the preseason All-American selections felt like they'd maybe made a mistake by not including Rafe. Been a little bit injured the last week or so. But if you're just asking him to come up here and take a couple of hacks at this, he might not have to do a whole lot of running.
Well, this is what you love in this situation, just as a baseball fan. It's
runner number 32,
obviously Endicott's best in this situation, and Will Bryan, a guy that they rely on as their closer. And Rafe Shamet, clearly the offensive leader for this team, a chance to play it, you would think, at the next level with the game on the line.
Spent his summer up near Endicott playing in the New England College Baseball League, as well as getting a little cup of coffee in the Cape Cod League. Did very well during his summer. Now head 2-0 here. Well, Rafe, one of the guys that brings the scouts out to the ballpark. Seth Jones was the pinch runner for Bender. He's over at first base. Adam Jew was the pinch runner at second base. Tigers going all in here for the win. 2-1. Now it's 2-2. I think this is an important pitch here because if you make it 3-2 with 2 outs, the runners have a chance to break. It gives the winning run and Seth Jones over at first base a chance to maybe gain an extra 90 feet that he wouldn't have. Two misses, and it is a full count for Rafe Shamet. Runners will go on the pitch. Shamet looking for something that he can handle. Bryant looking to get the goals, their first win of the year. It's bases loaded, ball 4. See the frustration there from Kyle Brennan. Did not like the call.
Boy, if this is going to be Endicott's first win of the season, they are really having a sweat for it. And for the Tigers, it's what we talked about. Sometimes they leave their best for last, and now I think the Tigers in desperate need of perhaps finding a pinch runner somewhere. And they're all looking down towards the bullpen, and Well, there you have it. So 3 pinch runners out on the pond for the Tigers, and they're pretty much treating this one like we're only going to play the 9.
Pinch runner number 33, Michael Montresa.
So Montresa in for the Tigers. He'll run for Rafe Shamet. Jake Martin. Hey, it's Jake Martin here. Either the game is tied or the game is over after he has his at-bat.
Number 2 slot right field.
That's the
Number 11,
difference
Jake
right
Martin.
there. Bryant starting Martin off of the first pitch strike. We haven't seen that the last 2 batters.
A great shot right now of everybody for the Tigers, all on their feet, all hanging on to every pitch, just like us.
That one skips in front of the plate, blocked by McDonald. Even the count at 1. Exciting moment here in February. As that early May, mid-May, late May type of a feel to it. Strike 2. Martin hesitated just a touch.
Change the approach now. You step out, take a deep breath, and understand, okay, if it's close, short, compact swing, just try and put it in play. And whatever happens, happens.
Bryant delivers. Swing and a miss. And that will do it. The save for Will Bryant. And Endicott will leave San Antonio 1-2.
There was 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, 3 players left.
Fantastic game, fantastic finish. Endicott
and Trinity 4.
with the win. Tigers come up just a bit short. They fall to 6-2 on the year. But a strong showing there at the end.
Good effort from Endicott. They did enough to win. A vast improvement, I think, from obviously yesterday's performance from a pitching standpoint, and that's what we talked about before the game is who was going to step up for them, who was going to sort of reset things and set the tone that they needed to have. Obviously, yesterday wasn't it, and today they did just enough to get by, out hitting the Tigers 10-5. And, you know, from the Tiger perspective, when the offense dries up, what happens? Then they got all 3 runs on 1 swing of the bat, and outside of that, they weren't able to create the chances that they have for a majority of the season. And I think we saw them get off to a start that was similar towards the end of that game yesterday, where they just couldn't get their motor going. They just couldn't get to that sharpness that these guys usually perform at. And this, I think, will be used as a learning tool. And if you're not ready to play from the first pitch and you're not locked into the last pitch, you're susceptible to being beaten by teams regardless of skill level. And I feel like the Tigers, you know, even though Endicott played well, they'll look at themselves and think we could have had these guys. We could have had the sweep, but we just didn't do enough right things, and unfortunately it cost them today.
And we'll be back next weekend here as the Tigers will be hosting Babson. That'll be Friday, March 1st, 7 o'clock. And Chris, you'll be heading on out and heading on up, getting the call to be the lead broadcaster for the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, the AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. And congratulations on that. And good luck. Have a great season. And thanks for joining us here on the Tiger Network and coming back to where we kind of started a couple of years ago. As we continue to grow, we'd welcome any time.
Well, hey, it's just a dream when we started in 2015, right? Just an idea. But, hopefully spend a little bit of time down to see some folks. Obviously, we used to be with the Reds down in Pensacola and see some of those guys in spring training. Hopefully the voice will be back to full force by the time opening day rolls around on April 4th. But you Trinity fans, if you like some minor league baseball, it should be a good year. But in all seriousness, just want to say thanks to you and the entire network and all these great volunteers that we have and letting me come back and just trying to get back at it here before the season starts. And I'll be tuning in to you guys throughout the year and rooting for all Tiger athletics. And I can't wait to see, I should say, what the Tiger Network's going to become in the next few years.
Well, for Chris, Morgan, Sarah, Katie, and Jake, I'm Josh Muchgamba, and thank you for tuning in today And we'll hopefully see you on Friday, March 1st, as we take on Babson back here for more Tiger baseball.